All right, Joe. Now, someone reminded me that I haven't picked on any of the political parties in a long time. I haven't had fun with them in a long time, but I'm not really too big on the whole political thing. I mean, the internet's been saturated with it. But here's what I will do. For years, I mean, I leave a little text reader going, so I've got background noise, and it reads me the streams off of MeWe, Facebook. Used to read me the streams off of Twitter. Um, Believe it or not, even since Musk took over, I still have not gotten my Twitter account back. I did try once, gave him one chance, and they denied it. And the winning comment that got me kicked off of Twitter a few years ago was that BLM was just a bunch of racist assholes, no better than the Klan ever was. I mean, it's racism either way. I don't play that shit. Um, are you kidding? I brought in the clogged one. You see how my luck goes, folks? There we go. Anyway, um, as I listen to these theories, and I do read a lot too. I mean, and the unfortunate thing with me about reading is I'll remember everything. You and me talking, I probably won't remember it. Me reading something, yeah, I'm probably going to remember it the rest of my life, and almost verbatim. Uh, Somebody's name, I mean, I think that's just a forced habit. I was always in an environment where everybody's Slick, Slam, Willie, or you called them by their last name. You never knew their first. I just, wait until I've heard somebody call somebody by name so I don't get it wrong. Wait until I've heard it 10 or 20 times. Then I remember the name. Um, and that's a trained mental defect condition of one's environment, I guess. That's quite common, actually. Now, let's just pick an easy conspiracy theory just to warm up here. Let's go back to, say, the planes that hit the towers on 9/11. You always read about uh, that steel melts at 1700 degrees, and actually, that building was probably red iron, which still isn't going to be much higher temperature wise. And diesel burns slightly less. I mean, they put crazy numbers out there. Uh, Problem is, and mostly I think that one got started. It is a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that to pretend that that jet fuel couldn't melt those beams. Okay, and I'll get to that in a minute. It's basic physics, and you can actually, like I said, I'll stretch into that. But on the starting point of that, I think what happened is the clickbait artists got a hold of it. Like these Lara Logan type people, where it's always could be and what if, and they jump on and create a conspiracy theory right away based on some retired CIA guy or somebody that's so far out of the loop it's pathetic. I mean, that would be like asking me what's going on in my former world. I live vicariously through a few kids that every now and then ask me for advice on shit that they can't figure out how the fuck I made it work to begin with back in the day, and now they're stuck upgrading it. That kind of thing. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. I think that that's how that got started is just some clickbait artist counted on the fact that most people are not aware of basic physics and most people won't correlate real life experience. Now, and what I mean by correlate real life experience is when you have a fire going in your fireplace or your pit or out back in your smelter, it don't matter. if you want it to move, you can use bellows and squeeze it. And that's going to make them flames get bigger and hotter, ain't it? You can actually use just bellows to melt iron and pour horseshoes. You don't even have to have a fan, but if you got a squirrel cage fan and a backyard smelter and some diesel fuel or some Jet A, hey, guess what? You can. I haven't done titanium, but I got done a lot of engine blocks, I've done aluminum, I've done a lot of steel, and with nothing but a squirrel cage fan, some fire brick, and just some really good carbon smelters. I'm sorry, crucibles. Anyway, now what happened when that plane hit up there that caused those steel beams to melt is when you're in the upper atmosphere, in fact, when you're more than 40 or 50 feet above ground level, once you're out of the buildings deflecting the winds get a little bit stronger up in the upper. Higher you go, well, they don't get necessarily super strong the higher you go. It's not an exponential growth factor or anything, but they are substantially stronger. And in New York City, with all that reflection off of those buildings, I mean, it's not uncommon to have some really, really good winds up there. Unfortunately, you're probably talking 20, 30, 40 mile an hour winds, which is enough if you've got Jet A up there. Jet A is basically diesel fuel. It's enough to accelerate the flames to the point where a couple thousand degrees ain't a problem. It's going to go over what's required to melt steel or red iron, average. Plus, now, most commercial aircraft, and even heavies, like my old Andy, and I know a couple other Andys, they all had locks on board. Okay, one of the Annies I knew might not have had locks on board. Liquid oxygen. In bigger commercial aircraft that carry passengers, they have to have it. Small heavies, they don't really have to have it unless you're hopping. But bigger aircraft, they've always got locks on board. And anyone who's ever handled a torch will tell you that when you turn that dial on that oxygen tank, that flame goes nice and blue and gets really hot. I mean, cooking and booking. Okay, I can't do the southern accent. I mean, I'm not doing as good as I used to, but it's one of those things where tinfoil hat conspiracies like that develop because, well, okay, maybe definitely it is a lacking in our education system because that's basic physics. And people count the clickbait artists, and the ones that aren't really clickbait artists, they're just copying, pasting. They might not know, but some of them do. And they just count on the fact that the average person doesn't know basic physics, or they don't correlate real life experience to what the topic at hand. They're thinking airplane, building. They're not thinking fire, add air, accelerate. Their minds don't go that way. They focus on the main points. Melting point, burning point without air applied. Burning point with air applied. You know what I'm saying? But they never mention that second burning point with air applied. And that's kind of fun. It's an interesting study to watch stuff like this. I don't know why it's interesting to me. Maybe it's my morbid sense of humor. I do have rather dark humor. Or maybe it's curiosity of the human psyche. I don't know. I spent most of my life wandering around the world, dragging cables and climbing towers, and that's just what I did. So normal people, I don't really understand. I mean, I understand them. I grew up around them until I was about 12. Well, okay, my family was far from normal. I literally left home at 12 because I had a drunken stepmother who loved to beat the shit out of me. And eventually she started telling me to leave. And about the third time it happened, I pretty much stayed gone for good. I mean, I tried to go back a couple of times. No, it just ain't happening. Um, anyway, one of them things, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I shouldn't have gone there, huh? Now, you've got other tinfoil hat conspiracies from the left and right, and those are partially political. But again, we're going to illustrate here. I could give a shit about the political crap. I'm so fed up with hearing it every day. I've literally started putting filters into my little reader script to filter out certain feeds. Well, not entire feeds, but certain people in certain feeds, you know, because it's just, yeah, okay, I've seen you copy and paste the same article 100 times, 3 different ways, and it's still bullshit. Um, like, you know, the Q supporters, they love to say that he had to be Department of Energy in order to have the access that he did. That's possible, but a rational mind, National Geospatial, would include one more entity in their available what they could get into list. Eros Data Center would be a much better origin point if they were going to make a claim for somebody that had super access. Um, quite frankly, I think that that facility could dust the NSA. I'm not sure. I don't really ever want to find out. I don't ever want to be on either of them boys' bad side because National Geospatial, they got some shit in the sky that can read your newspaper. Kidding. Well, maybe not. You never know. See, that's what I love about playing with conspiracy theories. Um, but that one's factual there. You'd have a little bit better chance from somewhere inside National Geospatial than you would from within the Department of Energy. Um, I mean, they've got better access than the entire Department of the Navy combined, as far as I know. This was my understanding a few years back. DOE, yeah, they don't always have access. They only have what you call necessary access for some reason. And oh, God, I love how the every other week it seems like the Democrats, they've always got Trump. This case is gonna sink in, and it never happens. That's funny. And on the other side, you know, you've got the Republican. Well, I'm not going to say the Republicans because this one kind of encompasses a lot of people. And it seems to me like the only ones still repeating it are a few nutcases in the libertarian thread. It's left the Republican threads long ago. It's left all the Q threads. Well, no, I don't think it's left all the Q threads. I think it's still bouncing around, getting brought back up. That, you know, people were Clintons and Obama and all of them, they were flown to Gitmo and executed already. And, they're actual clones and body doubles. And you ever notice when they try, or we'll use a recent one here, a recent illustration. They show the one with Joe Biden's ear there. And really, the man's just aged 5 years between picks. There's no anything there. You know, but they're pretending that it's two different people. Um, Yet the photos originated 5 years apart, a little bit over 4, almost 5. And that's kind of sad that people would fall for that. I mean, you got this guy, well, you had 2 or 3 guys for a while, but the one that comes to mind the easiest, and without mentioning any names, because I don't want to get sued by anybody, I'm just kind of rambling here, being honest about what I've seen from these tinfoil hat people. And there are a lot of them. You ever notice that the people that they interview are, as I mentioned earlier, out of the loop, retired general this or retired general that, or the admiral that they said was at Gitmo was actually across the country at the time doing something public. Not sure who busted that one out, but it was on Slash Poll where I saw that one busted out. Um, Again, I'm not mentioning any names, but that's happened more than once. And it wasn't always Slash Poll. I used to play on Live Leak a lot before they went down. And here, speaking of sites that went down, let's not go for sites. Let's go for an entire subsection network on the internet, the old news groups. Now, right around the time, just before Obama was running for office, Time Warner shut those news groups down, which I don't blame them. I mean, they couldn't have been making money off of it. And yeah, okay, a few people archived the news groups, a few didn't. But regardless, they were out there. Now, some of the conspiracy theorists say that those were taken down because of groups like alt.binaries, say BDSM. I'm just going to go for the S&M crowd there. Or, they had thousands of kiddie porn forums if you subscribe to foreign whatever. But what they were, one of the conspiracy theories around that time, and it wasn't too popular, but it wasn't unpopular either, was that Time Warner had taken that down to protect some of the politicians around Obama because they were in some of those binaries, meaning pictures and videos, with underage kids or doing some really freaked out, messed up S&M stuff. I think there is actually more than a little grain of truth to that. But they were exploding it beyond what it was. I, Here's another illustration. You've got porn hosting racks all over the world. Servers, guys who own racks of servers that you want to rent space and host a website, great. And a lot of them will host porn. Now, most of the ones that are dedicated to porn hosting, they encourage, according to the Bible thumpers, the Republicans, the GOP, and quite a few lefties, quite a few Democrats, which it's hard to believe that there is such a thing as a Christian Democrat, but apparently there are because some of them were on the bandwagon. Most porn hosting racks encourage their employees, hey, you see something, you report that shit. Take the Crime Stoppers money. Or just delete it, get it off our servers, kill that account. Or seal that, forward it to whatever Fed or local agency they regularly work with. But like, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, and they got busted cold by not just one site, by several. And I think it was Pornhub that they were complaining about the most. But a couple of Bible thumpers uploaded some kiddie porn to Pornhub. and then reported it themselves. Now, Pornhub is really good about scouring their content and all that, and when they do find it, they do report it. It's not like they're intentionally hosting the shit. In fact, they have very strict policies against it. Uh, just to get paid on Pornhub, you pretty much have to. Oh man, you gotta give them 20 forms of ID and obviously let them count the hairs on your you know what's. Um, and that's just one example of many. And then, there's another note that I should make there, because right now what we're seeing with all the censorship on the internet, and I'm going to take the Bible thumpers out of the picture here a little bit, and we can take the Democrats out of the picture because we know that they're in favor of censorship. I mean, they're supporting actually a form of slavery when they say that you should address trans by a gender other than they were born as. I mean, it's my choice. I don't care what your fantasy is. That's great that you've got it, whatever. I'm not going to cater to it. You're either a dude or a chick the way you were born. I'm not going to call you anything else. To me, it's just dangerous to cater to the mentally ill. And that, to me, is something's got to be wrong there. But don't take that wrong. I have nothing against gay people. I have nothing against cross dressers or trannies. But, don't ask me to call a dude a chick when I know it ain't a chick. No, that would be slavery to force me to have to say that against my will. And slavery is illegal. But, the Democrats think it's okay to censor speech. And now instances like that, they not only want to censor speech, they want to control speech that way, which, man, that's a dangerous path. Really, it is, because if you control the way people speak, you control the way that they think. Very dangerous path. Um, Again, I should not have gone there. But all the free speech that's going on, when specifically the Bible thumpers more than anything, but quite a few more Republicans. But we really should take the political parties out of that, because it was mostly Bible thumpers. We're fighting the porn hosts. They wanted to shut us all down, which, by the way, mine got shut down a long time ago. I did that on my own, simply because I just didn't want to run the racks anymore. It was getting to be too much hassle. If it took up more than a few hours a week, nah, no thanks. I mean, I was making good money from it, but I wasn't getting rich, and I wasn't breaking even, and I was putting most of the money back into equipment, and of course the little hotties that were running it. But man, I miss them days. I truly do. I miss the sound of those old HP Superdomes. Hold on. Oh. But now, they were all fighting, wanted to shut the porn sites down, and the porn sites were fighting for free speech, which we would have on the internet right now, but the Bible thumpers fought all the porn sites, which were trying simply for free and unregulated speech on the internet. And none of the porns, well, okay, there might have been one or two out in California, because that they're into that stuff. But none of the porn sites were pushing kiddie porn. And in fact, most of the people who host the racks, the actual servers, not the individual sites. That's not how it works. Well, you can self-host, but most people don't know how to do that. That's why there's people who run racks and host for them. Look at Perfect Illustration, GoDaddy. That's the biggest hosting service in the world. Um, Man, you'd love to have their electric bill up. um, Everybody's against kiddie porn. Well, again, I'm not saying everybody in the industry, but I'm saying there might be a couple out in California, maybe Oregon. I mean, they're into that stuff that's just plain wrong with little kids. They shouldn't be, but oh well. Um, that's somebody else's place to enforce those laws. Of course, now if somebody needs help, a little equipment here and there to catch those kind of people, yeah, as long as you're keeping it legal and legit. If I've got spare shit, I'll help you out. I'll even program it for you, show you how to set it up. Um, but for the most part, I'd rather stick with just what I do already. Well, and yeah, for the record, there is a assistant prosecutor that I help out from time to time here in Florida with gear for things like that. And it's all legal, it's all legit, and she's really good about understanding that, yeah, okay, look, here's the way to do this and keep it legal to where you don't need a warrant and you ain't breaking Florida's fucking unauthorized access of the network laws on your own because you the fucking prosecutor. You ain't gonna get away with that shit without a warrant still. So, I mean, yeah, there were a lot of the electronic laws that she wasn't aware of because, she's a fucking criminal prosecutor. That's her area of study. The only reason I'm familiar with a lot of the electronic laws is because I go out of my way to make sure that everything that I'm doing is legal and legit. I have to. I don't want to send something out there and somebody gets in trouble, or I don't want to send something out there and I get in trouble. Fuck that. Um, but mostly these days, like I said, I'll deal with my friends and vicariously through a couple of kiddies in Virginia. And I've been doing audio for the elephant, and I've been doing a little bit here and there for Zaidi. Those of you who love my Big Spark shows, maybe. I'm trying to find a spot. I'm trying to find a way to make it safe again. It's got to be a spot where I can keep people a couple 100 feet away this time. Towers are up to 9 feet this time. Should be good for about 40-foot arc between the two, and I should be able to get spinnies probably 5, 6, 7 feet, 8 feet out of each one. But the EMF in the air is going to be off the fucking scale, so people would have to be a ways back, and I'd have to have a spot where I can check for a couple of days and figure out exactly how far back to keep them. So maybe little sparks, I don't know. Actually, I've got a bunch of old flybacks. I've got some microwave oven transformers, stuff like that laying around. I might make some small little mini tower plasma speakers. Um, Not sure. I know I've got some LED displays coming up in what I'm planning on making for videos because I know that I can make them simple and safe for the average person. And that is something that is a concern for me. I've got to keep this channel to where it's safe for people. But now, let's get into the electronic world. Let's get deep into the electronic world. Now, many people, I mean, you've got two kinds of Windows users, those who know that they're infected and those who do not. It's that simple. If you have a Windows machine and it's been on the internet more than a couple of minutes, it's been infected. And with Bitcoin mining machines and 4 or 5 different algorithms for 4 or 5 different coins now, 4th through 6th generation Intel chips or chipsets, I'm not sure which chip, something in there is letting someone in. So there's a hole there to let someone in. But when you're playing with the algorithm, you're attracting attention, and machines are getting attacked out of Maryland and Utah. Now, who would be in those two locations at the same time, and why the fuck would they be doing that? But I can understand it. Yeah. Oh, wait, that guy's mining Bitcoin. That guy's mining Litecoin or whatever. Oh, wait, that's an Intel. That's an old one. We can watch his ass. So I think what they're doing is they're looking for the algorithm and then seeing they're probing. I mean, they'll probe all the way to a 13th generation machine. But fourth through sixth generation, they're getting in. And my theory is merely that they are watching to see if the cryptocurrency guys are buying machine guns or something. And my theory would be that if a brand new, empty, just installed the OS, just installed whatever miningware, and it's getting attacked and fully punched all the way into the EFI partition. Within a half hour, consistently on multiple manufacturers' motherboards. So that narrows it down to the chip and the chipset. Now, the conspiracy theorist would run with that. That it's an intentional attack designed by Intel Israel because, Intel does make a lot of chips in Israel. I think they make more of them there than they do anywhere else. I'm not sure. I don't give a shit. Don't tell me. That was true for a while. It may still be, it may not. But they would latch, some nefarious thing with Intel or some, in the agreement with whoever. When the real deal is that they're older machines, probe them, scan them, great. Yeah, they're vulnerable. It's got to be a hole there that people have known about forever that I just didn't know about. But it is definitely the algorithm attracting attention. Because we've changed network cards, so we had physically different MAC addresses and physically different. Well, one was an Intel, one was a Broadcom. I think we even went back to a 3COM 3 Charlie 905 because one of them had a regular PCI slot in it. Yeah, it was 3COM Charlie 905. I think it was TXN or TXM. I'm not sure. TX905M, TX905C. Fuck, I'd have to go out there and look at it. I didn't really pay much attention. But you see what I'm saying there? It's probably just a hole that's already there. And the only thing attracting attention is, you've probably got multiple ISP routers monitored by Utah and Maryland to begin with. And yeah, okay, they're probably looking for crypto traffic. I can't see why they would be punching machines. I can't see how they'd get a warrant in under a half hour and be in a machine though. Especially not on fresh, brand new machines. And then again, it could be somebody from another acronym and they're just letting them relay through them because if I remember right, the hides, they used to let naval intelligence relay through them and out to other things. If I remember right. And Eros used to relay a lot of stuff too for other agencies besides National Geospatial. And I think that was just a matter of they had the Hosmos computing power at the time. I don't know if they still do that or not. And that was public knowledge, so I'm not telling you anything that everybody and their brother and their dog didn't know. I mean, at least around Sioux Falls and T, South Dakota, they knew it. That facility was bragged about quite a bit in the paper, local papers up there. Um, and then you've got one of my favorites is they've always got where they pick on the pyramid in the dollar bill. And um, this was when the internet was kind of fledgling, so to speak. We were just coming away from the days when CompuServe, AOL, they used to ramp you onto the internet. We were just coming away from those days. They had actually started becoming full ISPs and losing their regular dial-up service. Well, you still had to dial in with a modem, but AOL used to be more like a BBS. Same with CompuServe. They were both more like a BBS system than the current internet that you know and love today. And that's a horrible description of either of them, but it's pretty accurate. Well, right around that time, there was an air base up in Tacoma, North Dakota, that has a couple of pyramid-shaped buildings. That it was a radar facility. And right around that time, which was funny to me because, well, I'm a radar nerd. You want to give me a blue vein throbber, give me the either show me like, say, a 1936 Guzzi Falcone, or it could go to the other extreme and put a centerfold in the Toshiba Semiconductor reference manual. You know what I'm saying? But they were saying that it was some kind of a teleportal to space. And then, a couple years later, I'm not sure if MySpace existed then yet or not. I know it floated around a couple of places anyway. It floated around for a second in the news groups. The lizard people theory that you have today about, some guy walking through the White House and saw Obama and he looked like a lizard. That came about that they were hiding a colony of lizard people under the ground and stuff. And it just, I'm sorry if that was happening. And okay. They did close the base down in 79 or 79. This is the early 80s when the rip up went on. Actually, no, that was probably the late 80s when the rip up went on. I don't remember. But somebody doing the rip out would have seen that. Yeah, they probably did have tunnels going into Canada. They were only not very far away. But really, I think the abandoned airfield up there that definitely had tunnels was more towards the center of the state. I think that thing was shut down like right after World War II or something. The airstrip the only time I saw that particular strip. The airstrip was in horrible condition. There were no windows in the tower, part of a radio console in there. Just, yeah, that would be your more likely candidate for the tunnel because they have them. I don't know about if Tacoma did or not. I know that they had tunnels between the buildings, and that brings me to another thing. You ever notice these guys, they say that there's a whole bunch of sex dungeons and kiddie perv tunnels under, say, Denver or Las Vegas Airport or the Getty Center. And you look at it, and anyone that knows constructions know, hey, wait a minute. This is just pipe chases. These are service accesses. Oh, wait a minute now. That tunnel that goes underneath here has storage facilities because, yeah, okay, you need to park the luggage for a minute while you switch for this plane or that plane or whatever, and you're using tunnels underneath the main concourse so that you're not interrupting the passengers. And in one airport's instance, when they were showing the tunnel, if you look closely up at the top, you'll see that those power feeds, fuck, they were for the runway lights. They even had fucking junction boxes and lines going off to the sides every now and then. Um, and the lines, the piping didn't look like no sewage lines. That particular piping is probably what was keeping the runway de-iced. Um, and heating the tunnels does help too, but that particular airport they'll run warm liquid with, best thing I can describe would be like a instant on water heater. But they'll run warm liquid through it, and every so many hundred of feet or whatever, they'll have another little instant on water heater. And the temperature is not even very great. I mean, you can hold your hand on it all day. And it's metal pipe. Um, just enough to keep the bottom of the runway from being icy. I guess that's their only goal. That or those little instant on heaters were really shitty. I'm not sure which, or do I care? I just know that it worked for them. And I know that it's visually obvious in those videos, but you always see these people, man, they got this and that down there, or I, I think the tunnels between the Playboy Mansion did turn out to be a real thing, but it like went next door. Um, I don't think there turned out to be any sex dungeons under there. I think it was just a tunnel that went next door. Um, but you love those theories like that, and they're fun to have fun with. But when you see those things, you have to apply logic and reasonable thought. And you have to go into the details. I mean, like what I found yesterday, I could say, oh, yeah, it's definitely the NSA, but no. It may be another agency just watching for that kind of traffic. It could be ATF, and they're letting them relay through there or whatever. I don't know. I don't give a shit. It could be some former employee that just is farting around looking for God knows what. Definitely amateur level. I mean, people I know would just clamp it externally and watch it, and you'd never be able to detect it. Um, yeah, and don't think shielding your Ethernet cable and keeping it on Wi-Fi would keep you safe from them boys, because them boys got some shit that dead stick an antenna, or just actually use your power lines for a fixed signal source and see every bolt, nail, stud, anything inside a house just using RF. And it's my understanding that they're working on getting it to colors. um, but you can, even a poor man these days can build a system where you can literally get an entire schematic and entire blueprint off of a building with just a couple of antennas, a couple of transmitters, and you're going to need a beefy ass computer to do this in any reasonable amount of time. Otherwise, you ain't going to be able to do it in real time. All you'd be able to do is snap a fucking temporary image, and if anything was moving in there, you would be screwed. But if you've got a Hosmos machine, you can do it in real time. I mean, a current Cosmos machine. You're not going to do it in one or two processors. You're going to need four or eight. You're probably not going to do it on an AMD Epic. um, but, yes, sir. But now, one of the other things that you'll notice, yeah, he actually got it right. One of the actual things that you'll notice with some of these conspiracy theories um, is that people just go off on the details. Like I could have gone off on the details and just blamed one agency or whatever, but I don't think that I should have done that. I'd rather wait and consult with a couple other people, which I have been all day today and last night, and make sure what's going on, because I'd rather be safe than sorry um, in saying it. And I'm 100% sure that it's just a vulnerability in the fourth and sixth generation chips that I didn't know about. And the type of traffic, not the type of motherboards or machines, but the type of traffic is what's attracting the attention, the unwanted attention. Um, but now, on that note, there was a release of some of the NSA spywares and malwares and so forth. And many of the script kiddies pointed out that, you know what, hey, these are the same viruses that McAfee was detecting as originating elsewhere. They didn't get hushed up. I mean, well, okay, maybe some of them did. Some guys, shut down their sites. Ooh, there's a beautiful one. You ever notice these YouTubers and all these watch it before YouTube takes it down, and then they're the ones that take it down? Man, what the heck? Come on, give me a break. Or they'll intentionally put something in there that's copyrighted or banned enough to where YouTube really will take it down. That has nothing to do with the content. They'll, I don't know, slip in X-rated content or copyrighted crap, too much of it, whatever, and get it banned seemingly on purpose. Um, it, and I say that because, watch it before it gets banned, watch it before YouTube takes it down. That's why I say that. They'll put those sensationalist titles there. And like with the Scepter vulnerability years ago with Intel's, was it Spectre or Scepter? I think it was both. You had everybody saying that Intel did that intentionally. They probably didn't. But sorry, pain's off the scale tonight. Anyway, as I watch these things, they'll, oh wow, that vulnerability. Now that was a bad vulnerability in Intel chips, and for a while there, Intel wasn't patching it right away. Microsoft didn't patch it right away. Microsoft released a couple of patches that were incomplete. The Linux community was pretty much on top of it. I'm not sure about Apple. I wasn't paying attention at the time. I know that I love a Mac Pro trash can. With the Mac Minis lately. Not so much the Apple silicon. I'm sticking back with the Intels because it's a nightmare to put Linux on the Apple silicon and have half the stuff that I want to work. And that all leads into, you'll notice that when people are sensationalizing these viruses, these vulnerabilities in machines, as I said earlier, they'll just go, oh, there's the first point. That's got to be the only point. Same as they did with the aircraft. People count on the people who do this clickbait stuff. the tinfoil hat stuff. They count on people not thinking it through. They count on you're not going to notice that, wait a minute, the industry was right on it trying to patch it. I mean, even Oracle came out of the woodwork trying to patch some old Suns. Yeah, Oracle owns Sun now. Big bummer. And the Russian Spark chips, I think, are doing better than the old Spark chips. But oh, shoot, it really hurts. I gotta at least sit up. Now, by everybody patching it right away, there wasn't probably anything nefarious there. It was probably a legitimate accident. Some nerd in his grandma's basement, 15 years old, probably found the hole. And you've got a lot of people that think that, oh man, my router got hacked by the police, and half the time it's their neighbor kid. Or now this one, Leo's at the state and county and city levels in most states are guilty of it because they don't know what they're really dealing with. But a couple of times you run across where you read an article and he was in possession of network penetration tool super hacker, and it's a copy of Kali Linux, which everybody uses for security testing. I mean, you can't set up a network and then tell you can't set up a network without first testing your own security every possible way that you can. Airplanes tend to go through people's roofs if you fail to secure your networks. And in order to secure your networks, you have to know how to get in order to keep them out. There's no way around that. And a lot of innocent guys have been not really railroaded. They've skated and gone free. But in the meantime, the cops have told the reporters this shit. And then you've got conspiracy theories, tinfoil hat crap going on about these guys. No, I mean, in my own life, I never armed that UAV. I built it as a camera platform. And Navy armed it later, long after it was out of my fucking possession. But some reporter started to, thank God I got that curbed, started to say that because I designed the airframe, and I didn't even design the airframe. It was a fucking kid. All I did was put in Futaba servos and a little motor and a pint fuel tank. Oh, God. And programmed. That's simple. But I mean, it was designed to carry just a little camera. Big deal. They armed it. 5 years later? But because I was the one that built it first, she was trying to say that it was my fault. That's conspiracy theory. That's tinfoil hat shit. That's because she didn't go into the details. She just went to the first point, stopped, and didn't continue on. But that happens to a lot of that starts a lot of the tinfoil hat stuff. Misinformation or incomplete information. I'm not going to say misinformation because she wouldn't have been lying. She wasn't lying in what she did put out there. But it was incomplete. And she didn't know, so it was a legit mistake. But shit like that causes tinfoil hat shit. And it's really common. And that one would have been a pure accident. I mean, that's all you could call it. let's see. But like now, another tinfoil hat theory, and this one kind of irks people, but I happen to live here in Florida. I was around for it. And people outside of Florida don't seem to know because the Yankees that come down, they don't seem to know, and nobody really knows. But that Casey Anthony chick, how many conspiracy theories were there about her years ago? Oh, and then she supposedly got killed and left in the back of a pickup, and then she was alive again. And oh, God. Probably is in the witness protection program or something. I don't know. But it turned out afterwards that it was probably her stepdad or dad, whatever the hell he was, that did it or whatever. But, for the rest of her life, she's going to be railroaded because the media themselves created that tinfoil hat theory. And technically, unlawfully, we're giving case details because you're not supposed to talk about a court case while it's pending, as far as I know. I mean, under UCMJ, I don't know about state or USC. In that regard, but I know that you're not supposed to talk about a case while it's going on, neither the prosecution nor the defense. At least that's always been my understanding. Um, so I don't, you got sheriff there fueling the tinfoil hat theory with opinion. And then, this later detail comes out and he puts that out there, but, the media is still focused on the other detail. And that's, oh man, there were so many conspiracy theories about that poor girl. And we'll never know the truth on that one, but we all swear we do. Now, let's move that up to, say, right now. I mean, you've got, what was it, that Laura Logan, that ship that just hit that bridge up there? Immediately she was saying NSA, CIA, whoever had railed that ship into the bridge. And now this ship had previously been banned from a foreign port, at least one. I believe it was Chile or Costa Rica. It was one of the sea countries. For poor maintenance. She was in bad shape. She should not have been moving in that harbor under her own power. She should have been on pier tugs. And she crapped a generator, lost power. And, big deal. There's no conspiracy theory there. It was just a vessel that was beat to hell and shouldn't have been running on its own power in that tight of a harbor at all. Without, it should have been getting towed. And, I don't think it was her. I think it was someone else I saw where they had, let me make sure I'm clear on that. They had said that the reason that the government was going to pick up the entire bill for that was so that the insurance company wouldn't investigate. Now, how many insurance companies are we talking about? One, probably, maybe two. I'm sure some of the containers were individually insured. So I'm pretty sure that most of them will just write it off. Yeah, all right, fuck it, pay it. That shit got trashed. And most of the cargo will still be delivered. And as far as the insurance on the ship covering the cost of that bridge, I doubt they had enough insurance. And I doubt their policy would be any good, being that the ship was in poorly maintained condition, and it's known that it was in poorly maintained condition. I don't know how those ship insurance policies work. In fact, I think they just bond them, don't they? On the really big ones like that, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's far less. It would cover far less than the cost of the bridge. But now, according to these tinfoil hat guys, the reason that the government is covering it is so that there's no investigations from the insurance companies. And again, that comes down to they're counting on you not going to think that through. So anyway, that's me having fun with tinfoil hand crab from both sides, all sides, left, right, middle, you name it. It's kind of fun. Gave you an hour's worth, and I'm sorry I wasn't as entertaining as I could be, but I had a little fun with it. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you didn't, oh well, sorry about that. I'll holler at y'all later.